Welcome, everybody, to Lee's podcast. Welcome to another episode. Today, I have one of my past guests, Jer, here today, and one of my good friend, Kang. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good. How are you?
Now, we spoke about, obviously, suicide at one of our last podcasts. Today is going to be something fun. You know, let's have a little conversation. And what I forgot to introduce is my wife. She's also here with us.
Always forgetting me.
Oh, no. It's just that I say the best for last, okay?
You do.
So before we go into today's conversation, let's talk about this weekend. How was it, Kang? How was it for you, buddy?
And it's good. It's been a while since I've been back to Milwaukee. Saw a lot of old faces, old friends. So.
How'd you do in golf?
Good. Let's not talk about that. You know, I blame arm injury for that, but I didn't do so good.
Yeah, this weekend was the I don't know, Milwaukee Open. I don't know,
Labor Day weekend.
Labor Day
Labor
weekend.
Day
Golf
yeah.
tournament, championship tournament, whatever. Yeah, and so you know, whoever is listening now, I am now starting to play golf. I'm not sure if I'm going to be at the level of my brother, but I'll at least learn how to play so I can go out with you, Kang.
Yeah, all good.
So how did you enjoy this weekend, Jer?
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was that party? The banquet?
It was too much fun.
Too much fun.
Stay till closed. Saw everybody get dragged in the car.
Whoever's listening was out there at Ox Cafe. You guys had a lot of fun. We were there just for maybe an hour or two.
To dinner.
Until dinner after we ate. Yeah. And then my brother, they got their award. Did they get an award? They got some kind of a flag, didn't they? Did you see that, Kang?
Yeah, or a mug or something.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I was told that my brother took third, but we'll see. All right.
Do you caddy for Kang?
Oh,
or?
No. I'm never going to do it.
Have you gone and watched Kang play?
A little bit, but it's not my thing. I'm good.
You're good.
Yeah, I will support in the background.
I think that's how you're going to be, huh, honey?
All the way.
Yeah. I told her I wanted to go hunting with me. Nope.
I did go hunting.
Oh, yeah.
with you.
Pheasant hunting last year.
Oh, yeah,
And-
that horrible, kind of bad experience. I heard about it.
And if you want me to go golfing with you, we have to do it in Hawaii. I might give you a few hours.
Oh, that sounds nice.
But you're going to have to go with me then.
I know. I'll
Okay.
give you a few
Hey,
hours.
We can do Florida.
There's only one way to get to Hawaii, man. I heard you.
I don't
you're
like to
scared.
fly.
Yeah,
You
you're
know
scared
it.
of flying.
I don't. Hey, we talk about that on another podcast.
Have you ever flown before, though?
I have in the past. But, dude, I don't know why, man, but I get scared. I've flown when I was younger for work, because when I used to work with my whole at Hmong American Women Association, I flew because of work, and I did some other flying because of other reasons.
Oh, Talongo.
Of course, right? I would have flown to see you in Florida. But no, I don't fly. If I had to, I prefer to drive if I can.
Well, if it makes you feel better, he flew, I think, the first time when,
When I met her. For real.
4
Seriously?
years,
Yeah.
4 years ago, yeah. He flew
Wait.
the first time on an airplane with me. I was just like, what? Where you been?
That I remember, yeah.
Did you fly since then?
Yeah, I got over it.
Oh, so but you're okay flying now?
Yeah, I think it's like with a lot of things where, people are scared of guns. Like me too. People be scared of getting like locked up, whatever, right? But
Yeah.
once you go through it, it becomes normal.
Oh,
I don't know for me. For me,
I don't know.
only,
I'm afraid of the I'm afraid of that elevator feeling where it drops. It drops. That's the part that I'm afraid of.
Like, can you go on a roller coaster?
I don't do roller coaster, dude. When I used to when I used to be at UWM, I would never take elevators. I would walk up to where my visor's at, and I'll walk down, because they'll be like on the 11th floor or 10th floor. I'm like, wait, no, I'm walking up.
No wonder you look so fit.
Well, now back then I was not, and so, but yeah, we're gonna fly. Where are we going to next, honey?
I can't say the name of the place.
Cancun. We're gonna go Cancun. So I'm gonna put up with it, and we're gonna go to Cancun. So our last trip we went to where did we go? South Carolina. I had to go see my doctor. My doctor had to prescribe me some anti-anxiety medication. Seriously, I had to take one there, and I took 2 back. That's how bad it was for me. And so it just kind of keep me kind of calm when I'm flying. So anyway, We can talk
Okay,
about.
you're not the only one.
I'm sure. I'm sure. But we're not here talking about me. We're here to talk about what? We're here to talk about the 80s and 90s. Because that's how old we are.
The good times, right?
The good times.
I
Good
feel like
and bad.
I feel like I'm the only millennial here, though, right? Like, am I the only millennial?
I think so.
Oh my God, 3 against 1. That's not cool.
Hey, but you get to share our experience, right, Kay? So, but anyway, 80s and 90s. First of all, let me say this: when I think about the 80s and 90s, okay, I think about music, I think about fashion, I think about pop culture, obviously, right? What do you guys think of when you think about the 80s and 90s?
I think about bell bottoms and platforms, like those white and black platforms. I think about Backstreet Boys.
Yes.
Those are good memories.
Think about new wave and gangs.
Hey, breakdancing. Did you do that, Kay? You remember?
No, I was never a dancer.
Music, what did you guys listen to back then?
Well, I grew up with Madonna, Michael Jackson, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, all the boy bands, 98
All the boy
Degree,
bands.
and Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera.
How about you, Kay?
Man, I'm very diverse. I listen to rock and roll, Guns N' Roses.
Yes. Def Leppard.
Rap music was coming hard at the late 80s and new wave. So, like, I'm very diverse in every level.
Dude, when I first heard that, heard that you listened to, like, metal, not metal, but, like, rock and roll music.
Yeah.
Or, like, soft rock. I'm like, what, Kay? You listen to that stuff?
Dude,
But-
I enjoy all types of music.
Yeah. How about you, honey? What did you listen to?
Hmong music?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I forgot those,
Yeah.
those love melodies.
Like KLS.
Chinese melodies.
Yes. I was very sheltered, so I didn't have a really exciting childhood or
No.
teenage years.
You got to talk into the mic, honey, so everybody can hear you. So let's. I just want to lead off with that and talk about 80s, 90s, and think about where we were at in our life at that time. Right? Obviously, Kane, we were good friends. We went to middle school together, part of high school together.
Yeah.
Our life kind of went separate ways. I'm glad we're able to connect back again. Jer, you and my wife, obviously, you guys grew up differently. But who wants to start about how it was back in the 80s and 90s?
Why is everybody looking at me?
I'm the wrong person because, like I said, I kind of very sheltered. So I lived a really shelter
Yeah.
type of life. So I didn't experience much besides church and school. So
Well, how about the culture back then compared to how it is now? Our parents, how they raised us now. How they raised us back then to how it is now. Dude, we talked about this earlier.
Yeah.
I had a slingshot with me everywhere I went. Kids don't do that nowadays.
Yeah. I don't know. Me personally, like, when I think back, I don't really know how I got in gangs, but I'm sure, like, it's not the way that my parents raised me, because they raise everybody the same, right?
Yeah.
I got a lot of, like, brothers and sisters that, grew up just like me, but I don't know. Maybe, I think there's 3 good reasons that I believe, like, why I got into it. One is maybe poverty is probably one where you don't have a lot of stuff. 2, I think is, like, when we were in middle school, we belonged in a group too, right? We hung out in our little crew. But my high school kind of faded away. You start tending to, like, have a soul searcher in high school or something like that, right? The second part is you group where you belong. Or now, like, you find something, like, belong to, you do that searching. Third, I know you guys don't believe me, but I know for a fact you will.
Which is what? I'm interested to know.
Good guys finish last with girls.
Oh,
You know that? When you think about it, when you really think about it, it's true, right?
He's talking about the bad boy persona, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
It is,
girls
yeah.
make you become what you are too, and once you start to becoming what they like, you become them, right? It's like a movie actor or something, right? Because I was born a good kid, right? in middle school, whatever.
Yeah.
When you start becoming a character, right? For what girls like or whatever, or from what you see, you just tend to become that, right?
Yeah. Well,
I think that's the best way I could describe myself.
I don't know, because I'm a good guy, because I always finish last.
Yes.
I think all the girls will know that good guys finish last.
Would you guys agree?
Hey, to be honest, did you guys? I don't know. I can't speak for
You
everybody.
can't speak for me. I'm already with you.
No, but for the most part, the woman looks for especially at the younger age when you're not set yet. But at the high school age and stuff, women tend to go for the bad guys, bad boys.
I wouldn't say for the bad boy, but for somebody who's more adventurous.
Yeah, but you never get that out of the good guys, all of the good boys. So they're what you have, man. Do you believe that, Jer?
Yes, I do. I mean, like,
Is
okay.
that the type you went for?
Well, when I was younger, middle school, like I did like the bad boys more, the Gertin, nerdy, geeky ones. You're kind of like, Okay, remember back in the day, you guys remember when everybody was either you're FOB or you're not? A
Yes.
FOB, right?
Yeah.
Or some people, like, they say HTT, MTT, right?
Wait, HTT.
Like multi.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah.
Or MTT. I've heard some people say MTT,
Or HTT. Yeah.
But they spell Mong M as M.
Yeah. Or FOB, right? If
Yes.
you weren't like, either you're going to be categorized as the FOB, like the Thailand people, or you're like the cool kid, right? So, growing up, like, I wanted to be the cool kid. So I would tend to go and hang out with the cool kids because I'm like, I don't want to be a fob. I don't want to be MTT, HTT, like those type are the tsitsitia, right? The goody good two-shoe girls and boys. I don't know. It's just funny because when we say that to our kids now, they're going to be like, what's a fob? I'm like, oh, they're fresh off the boat. But nobody actually came from a boat, though. Like, we all came from a plane. But, that's the term we grew up with, right? Either you're a fob or you're not. Yeah. So, yeah, why you got to put that out there, huh, about the bad boy persona?
No, because I feel like it was true, though. Like,
I mean, that's his reality,
Yeah.
80s and 90s.
Yeah.
that's my reality.
Yeah.
I know, I agree. I like the bad boys, too.
And I'm pretty sure, like, a lot of the good guys didn't have any dates during high school.
Did you have any dates during high school?
Shoot, I'm gonna plead the fifth in that one. I'm gonna keep that to myself. But going back to what Kane said, you touched on something that was really true back in the 80s, 90s, which is gangs. And I share this story with a lot of people, and I share with you too also. I think if I didn't have my really good friends and church friends to hang out with, I think I would have joined one, because it was huge back then.
Yeah.
I mean, it's different now, it's a lot, I'm not sure it's weaker, but there's less of gangs and it's less prominent now than it was back then. Dude, there used to be like what was that on over there on Greenfield, like 21st Street gang. The whole block was a gang. Like they named themselves 21st, or not 21st. Was it 21st by Milwaukee Christian Center?
I don't know.
In that era, and then there's all these other gangs, even church members are gang members that I was growing up with, so gang was prominent back in the 80s and 90s, so obviously you got exposed to it and I did it, we kind of took our different paths.
Oh yeah, you were talking earlier, Lee, about let's define gang or lie.
Oh, yes. Yep.
Yeah, like what it is, what it was then.
From growing up, your lie is someone that obviously the hardcore gang members, right?
Yeah.
And then, but back then it was used kind of loosely, at least for guys, right? And some olai, which is, olai, which means you're just a bad guy, I've been called that going to church because I wore a purple bandana. I don't know why I wore a purple. You're laughing. I wore a purple bandana, right? And olai, right? And I know maybe they just meant it sarcastically, but they use that word loosely. Now you mentioned earlier, Lai or Bulai is different too, isn't it? Or how do they define that?
Yeah. Well, I think back in the day, for girls, if you were rebellious, then you just they just call you Bulai, right? If you color your hair, you put on makeup, you wear revealing clothing. If you didn't live up to the good Hmong girl image, then you were a Bulai, right? Nowadays, the term is used loosely for people who party, people who are independent. It's more like the independent woman movement now, not so much of the or that's what I think. I don't
Bad
know.
girl attitude
Yeah.
back then.
Yeah, I don't go be like, well, I represent, you know, I don't do that. There's a whole trend behind it, but I'm not part of that trend. I'm just kind of like, okay, I'm good. You know, I'm just me. I'm a simple person now. You know, we're older, so I'm just kind of like, I'm good. Y'all can claim that all you want, but yeah, like growing up, especially for girls, we had to keep our hair really long, black, beautiful, long hair, all the way to your freaking butt, seriously, and we had to wear like really tight, like we back then, straight legs or even skinnies. What we wear now is skinnies. If you wore that back then, you were HTT fob, fresh off the boat. Like, you know, the baggier clothing you had, the better you looked. And anybody who put on any makeup was like automatically yelled at, like, what are you trying to do? You're trying to be, you know, promiscuous. You're trying to, like, that label on you. And so it was a really hard time, a different time back then. Our parents, they were stuck between the two generations. They were trying to raise us to be Americanized, but at the same time, they're like, don't you ever forget your mowing your blood. I'm like, okay, I don't know, like, give me a break. Like, I'm just, we struggle between the two worlds so bad. I mean, our kids have it so much better than we do, but I grew up not knowing what I was. I was like, am I Mo? Am I Mo American? Am I American? Like, you know, like, am I Asian? Like, what am I? I mean, like, did you guys, like, experience, like, you know, that too, growing up, like, searching for your identity, right? I mean, we struggle so much trying to figure out where we belong because we didn't fit with the OGs. That first generation, we weren't really part of them. And then that second generation that kind of were born here, raised here, they were like, we're Americanized. And I think for anybody in between, like the 1.5, people who were like anybody who grew up kind of in Laos or were born in Thailand, but then they grew up here, they were kind of in between. They were like, what am I? I'm not an American because I had to be naturalized, right? But then also I don't fit with that old group. I don't fit with that young group. Like, where do I belong? So that was like, I think, a big thing that millennials, or myself, I should speak for myself, like what I dealt with, just a identity crisis, trying to fit in between the two worlds. Did you have those conversations with your friends? Do you guys have those? Like, man, what's going on? Like, you know, how do we do this? How do we get through this time in our life? I think a lot of it was just more kind of like more teenage talk. Like, gosh, my parents are so mean. Like, life sucks. Like, the OGs don't know nothing, you know, like, yeah, I mean, like a lot of kids I grew up with, they all felt the same too. They were, I guess we weren't trying to be rebellious. We were trying to be Americanized, but then our parents put so much restriction on us. Like I was telling your wife this too, like I could never stay after school when I was younger. My parents, my mom didn't believe there was such thing as after school. She was like, after school's done, you come straight home, make rice, do the dishes, clean the house, feed your siblings. And I was like, but Mom, I wanna stay in an after school program. There's no such thing as after school. You know, anybody after school, like that term, like, you know, that or that you're gonna go do something devious. And I was like, no, Mom, really, there are after school programs. You know, we didn't do Girl Scout. We didn't join sports because our parents, they didn't believe in that. They didn't think that was important. I mean, for girls, it was. I don't know about boys. Like, I don't know if you guys had it better. No. Well, we had a little better because we were boys, right? Because there's a gender difference because we were boys, we had a lot freedom to do what we wanted to do. My sister obviously was a little more restricted. Like, as boys, we would just go. I'm not sure about you, King, but we just went. I mean, we just went, and whenever we come back.
Yeah, you know, much.
Yeah, right. So that's how it was.
School, we used to ride bikes all the way to the lake.
Dude, there was no restriction. There was no safety. Yeah. Our parents had no safety at that time, which is totally opposite than what you guys went through. You know, shoot, I would go spend like a weekend or not days, but like at least a few days at a friend's house, or we're doing other stuff, and my parents would be like, you know, where did you go? Right, that's it. They didn't look for me. We didn't have cell phones. Not like they called, you know, right? And so we kind of did our own thing, you know, entertain ourselves. So, but you're right. I mean, it's just a little different back then it's a little different for guys than for girls back then, right? because you went through the same thing, right, honey? You had to stay home. You had to watch your younger brothers. You know?
Yes, that's why I was so sheltered. All I did was stay home.
Yeah, but I saw a lot of boys. You know, everywhere we go, everybody was out and about, right? Everybody was exploring the boys.
The boys, yeah.
Yeah.
Shoot, we used to go to Mitchell Park with our slingshot, and there'd be a bunch of guys there shooting birds.
Yeah.
You know, seriously. No girls, but all guys, you know. So,
And nowadays, high school people, like, they don't even go adventures by themselves no more. They, drop me off there, drop me off here. And, you know, they don't actually bike or walk or do whatever. At least I don't see much.
Oh, I have a funny story. So, like, I remember when I was in middle school and we were hanging out once, and I actually went to knock on the door, right? Because we were going to get one of our friends, and it was a boy. And I didn't think anything, right? Because we're just kids, right? So I went knock on the door, and then the mom came, and then I was like, "Oh, is so and so home?" And then she looked at me, and she was like, "Do you know that you're a girl? Girls don't come knocking at boys' house. Have you no shame?" And I was like, "Oh, what?" Like I didn't know that there was a rule. She was like, "Did your parents not bring you up right? Do you know that only boys go to a girl's house and knock on their door?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know. They just told me to come knock on the door because we're gonna go play." Like, and then after that, I was so terrified. And then eventually, he did come. But then after that, I told all my friends, I'm like, "I'm never knocking at anyone's door again." Like, I can't believe an OG just snapped at me, gave me 2 cents that I'm a girl and I can't knock at people's doors, because I didn't know that girls couldn't go, knocking at anybody's house. Like, it always was the guy, like that whole cultural norm thing. And yeah, I was so shocked. I was like, "Oh my God, that was the worst experience ever." She even asked for my parents' name. "What is your mom's dad's name?" I was like, "Oh, I don't know." Like, are you going to call my mom and dad and yell at them? Because they told me to go knock on the door so he can come on and play. Like,
I just want to play.
It was so innocent. And then they're asking, "Who's your mom and dad?" I'm going to call them and tell them that you're not a good girl. I was like, oh my God.
Well, the question, did you walk there? Did you take the bus there? How did you get there?
No. I think somebody drove us there, or I think someone drove us there. I forgot. Like, somebody that was older. We were all just going to, they were picking everybody out, just go play.
Oh, you didn't go there by yourself?
Yeah, no, I was with a bunch of girls and boys. And then that's why I went back to the car and I yelled at the boys, like, "Why didn't you guys go knock on the door? Why didn't you guys make me go?" And they were like, "Oh, his mom is mean like that."
So we had you do it instead.
So I took the beating because they were like, "Yeah, the mom's mean. She yells at everybody." And I was like, "Yeah, but she picked on me. She's like, 'You're a girl. Don't you ever show up at my door again.'" I was like, oh my God, I didn't even know there was a difference between the gender, that boys can go knock at any door, be welcome, but girls can't knock at anyone's door unless it's like your uncle or your aunt or your relative, right?
Yeah.
That story reminds me of how I met Lee, because when I met him, like you said, back in those days, girls don't take initiatives, right?
Yeah.
And I actually asked one of my cousins to go ask Lee for his phone number, but this is when we were 16, so we met when we were teenagers, and then we met again as adults, but I didn't have the guts to go ask him because that wasn't the proper thing to do, right? So there was a lot of culturally stereotypes about how us girls should be, right? But I think that was just that time, and that's how people were then. So.
I would definitely have given you my number.
No, you wouldn't. And you know why you wouldn't.
But there is some difference. Okay, I have a few things here. Okay, so 80s, 90s. Let's talk about marriage. Marriage then is different than marriage now, right? We kind of talked about this a little earlier. What was it yesterday? Is that there's a lot of
or more, not marriages, but relationships.
Relationships. Okay, all right. Which eventually leads to marriage. But relationships now is different than relationships then, because obviously there was no social media. There's no cell phone back there. You still had cell phones, right? When you were, because cell phone came out when you guys were.
She grew up in the 90s.
Yeah, but we didn't have cell phones.
No, we had to memorize every phone
Dude,
number.
we memorized. You're right. Like, I had to remember my phone number. Nowadays, I don't remember phone numbers anymore, right? Yeah. So a little different. Dude, I remember I had to call one of my old girls, I had to use a payphone.
Yeah.
I had to use a payphone, which was across the street from my house, which is on National. And every time a bus goes by, I'll be quiet. And when a bus passes, I'll talk. It's just different, you know? So dating life then and dating life now is a little different.
Or I remember like when somebody would hog the phone and you would call and it'd be busy, and then the two-way came, you know,
Oh,
the
yeah.
phone suddenly
Yes.
had like two-way. So whenever you're talking for a long time, be like, beep, beep. And then you'd be like, hold on, let me answer the other line. And then you had to like answer a line and make up a lie. Or if it was like one of the, like your relatives calling, you'd be like, oh, and then you'd be like, hang up and you go back into your line. And then, you know, you all of a sudden you could do a party line, right? You're like, I'm going to party line, call two of my friends, and we're all going to chit-chat at the same time. And it was like the coolest thing ever.
And those are on landlines.
Yes,
And
landline.
if you have more than one phone, right?
Yeah.
The other person, like, there's a sibling that picks up, like, hey, can you get off the phone?
Or they'll sneak on and just listen to your private conversation.
Yeah, kids don't have that problem nowadays. They have their own phone, you know. And at that time, how far did you travel? Did you guys travel far?
So like 冇談過輪週.
Yeah.
We were girls, so we were expected to stay, right?
yeah. I think I only rode the city bus to the mall. Yeah.
To the mall?
Yeah. Because your parents wouldn't really take you to the mall. They'd be like, no, that's not necessary. But all your friends are like, let's go to the mall, right? So you were like, darn it, I have to learn how to take the city bus. And it was actually, it wasn't scary then. Like you know, like you felt safe. Well, now, I don't know. I haven't taken the city bus since I was a teenager, so I don't know.
These kids, did you take the city bus? That's the only way for us to get around.
I think I'm gonna plead the fifth on that. You know, like I've been through some bad stuff. So yeah, like I think during my bad times, we used to like steal cars, right, and go out of state a lot. That's where we met our girls.
Oh.
So it wasn't much of an in town.
Shoot, for us, it was the Central Library downtown. Have you gone there?
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah. Like I would leave after school, like high school, I would leave and take the bus to Central Library because that's where all the Hmong kids went, to Central Library. And it wasn't the mall, it was the library. A bunch of Asian guys and girls going to the library. How studious is that, right?
What did you guys do there? Read
know what?
books?
Yeah, I've been there too. Cause that's kind of like where
Parents
a lot
thought they were doing
more
homework.
people hang out.
At the library.
And you know, I remember going there. You know, at that time, my good boy stage, a lot of girls didn't like me then. You know, but you know, like I see a lot of difference. Like the way you carry yourself, and it's sad, but it's true. Like once I changed my mentality, and I try to like the bad people, the gang people, we weren't that bad as, you know, like shito people, you know, but we were like the rebellious type, you know. And I see the difference. Like once you change your style, it depends on certain girls too. But a lot of times, like every city I go, I'm not saying I'm the good looking,
Yes, he is.
but I realized that I didn't really need to talk to anybody. So a lot of them came talk to me. You know,
Oh, because you had that bad boy kind of image.
You know, because when you were a good boy, I don't trust me, it's just different.
Yeah.
But I'm just talking about myself though, you know. And after a while, I created some kind of charisma or whatnot, you know. It's like everywhere I go, every party I go, I never really had a problem. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, finding girls.
Or like, because a lot of them, you know, you pick on cues. You know, when you look around, you can tell which one likes you, or sometimes they'll even come and talk to you, or ask you for a dance or whatnot. You know, I don't know what to say.
You think guys now still have that persona or still have that mindset that I need to be the bad boy? It's a little different now, right?
I think some do, because I know like her son, he's very. He doesn't need to be a bad boy, but he's very out there, right?
Mm.
And he
tries to be, and we're like, baby, you're fine the way you are. Like,
But he tries to be a bad boy.
he does. He be all like trying to act hard and talk hardcore, and I'm like, boy, stop it.
But like with my son, he was kind of like me. He's very quiet and shy. I feel like he ain't charged in, but the way I see it, he's a good boy. He's a very good boy, and plus he's very quiet. So when he's always out there, he'll never talk to nobody. And I tell him, like, you know, sometimes I wonder, does he need to, like, be a bad boy, make mistakes, or just put himself,
No, he
just
doesn't.
talk. But you know, like, I don't know if it's charisma or whatever. Do you need to build that? Because I know I didn't have that in middle school. I didn't have that in freshman. But after that, when I was out and about, I really didn't need to talk. 'Cause I'm not a talker.
Yeah.
I really didn't even need to talk to
They came to you.
Yeah, but when I was around people, I could, like, assess people. I can tell if I look at you, I could kind of sense that, hey, maybe she's looking back at me or something like that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I could pretty much approach somebody or whatever. But so I'm confused still because he's shy like me, but he doesn't have that charisma like me.
You know, with the social media nowadays, you don't need to see them. You can just talk to them. You know, has he talked to them? Has he talked to girls or a guy or whatever? I mean, does he talk to people?
No.
No, not okay. So not even on social media, because you can always put up a front, right?
Yeah.
You can hide it a little bit. You don't have to be out there. You don't have to be so embarrassed because it's through digital stuff, right? It's through X and O's, ones and zeros. You know, so that you can be more yourself instead of someone actually seeing you, which is totally different than how it was back then. Because back then I had to see someone.
Yeah.
You know.
I think my son, he's at the age where when he started high school, that's when COVID hit. He never got that opportunity.
Oh.
And then, because freshman year, it was all online or, like, virtual.
Uh-huh.
Second year, it's kind of like that, too. Second year, it's more of the coming in where he's just first. That's pretty much his freshman year where he just starting to see new faces everywhere. Start going to school.
Mm-hmm.
And then next year, hopefully, it'll be his breakout year. Hopefully.
Crossing your fingers.
Okay, so you guys, King used to have a lot more hair, right? And
He did? I would not notice.
My hair was like
he
long.
used to have a lot more hair, and Lee, he actually had like those blonde bang back in the day. You know,
Oh,
the
yes.
too long blonde bang.
Yes.
Hey, they work. I don't know what you're talking about.
I saw a picture. I was laughing. I'm like,
That's funny.
oh, the blonde bang.
So you dye it. Well, you know what? Honestly, I dyed my hair back in the days too. But I didn't have I dyed the whole thing. I just didn't do a bang though.
But you know what? When you go places, who do they see? That guy, right? With a blonde bang, right? You get more attention like that, right?
Well, what did your parents say when you dyed your hair? Were they like yelling at you?
They weren't too happy, but again, I was a guy. Out of all my siblings, I think I was the most rebellious. I mean, not like King rebellious, right? But I was the most rebellious in their eyes, you know. So I dyed my hair blonde. I wore bandanas, you know.
Did you wear Jinkos?
No, those big. What, are those big bell bottoms?
Yeah.
No.
I don't know.
That's,
You know what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
Jinkos?
Right, those big bell bottoms.
no, wide legs.
Wide legs.
Yeah.
Don't say
Wide
bell
leg.
bottom.
Yeah, bell
I don't-
bottoms are
All about the girls.
skinny and then flares out at the
Oh, do
bottom.
they? I don't know. But
I hope you were not wearing
no, I don't know. I hope I don't know.
70s for a minute.
But no, my parents, they always tell me about, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, but I did it anyway to a limit. I never went extreme with my dyeing my hair. It's always it's a lighter color, but it was never blonde. Yours was blonde, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, mine was just a little lighter.
Just the tips.
Just the tips. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead,
Oh,
honey.
I was just going to say, are you ready to move on to?
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
I was just going to, because I'm just curious, because I think Lee and I were probably goody tissues. I think that might be safe to say. How do you guys raise your kids differently than how you were brought up?
I feel like maybe I do different. I mean, maybe I created my son the way he is too sometimes because I would never want anybody to like grow up in my footsteps, to like watch out for different group, or like maybe I am who I am already, and the way I say it, I don't realize like or like I'm strict.
Yeah.
And like sometimes when I do that to them, I think I didn't give them freedom to like, I think all unchained, and they're still in the shell. That's what I kind of feel.
Oh yeah, I'm
How
not
you
not
feel?
like him.
Like, do you think that's kind of true?
It is like whenever he gets really mad at his kids and he raises his voice, I get scared. I'm like, oh my god, am I gonna like tao? It's like that. It triggers like that old memory of like back in the day where our parents open tawa, right, with the the broom, the stick, the belt, everything.
Yes.
Like, and you didn't even do anything bad, like to warrant it. It's not like we did anything really bad. You didn't do the chores, or you broke a chair, or something very petty, right? And the only way to discipline was beat down, right? So, for me growing up, I didn't participate in that beating. Like, I refused to hit my kids with anything. Which sometimes people are like, oh, got you one day, but I'm like, no, that's abuse. That's not discipline. We grew up, our parents thought that was discipline because that's what they grew up with. But growing up in America, that's abuse. That's not discipline. So I changed that part of it. And then with my kids growing up, I didn't really restrict my daughters. When it came down to my daughters, and I'm sorry to say this, but I was like, you're not going to be restricted. I'm not going to say, don't do this, don't do that, what about my face, like all that crap. I was like, nope, I'm going to let them grow up, be strong, like independent women, be free to do whatever they want, to speak their mind, and to kind of just have that open dialogue. Like, I think there was a lot of stuff growing up that our parents didn't talk to us about, right? For girls, right? Like, when we were growing up, they didn't talk to us about sex, right? They didn't talk to us about marriage. They were just like, grow up, be a good girl, cook rice, do chores, be a good wife one day. Our ultimate goal is to be a good wife.
Like, how do you be a good wife, right? How do you go about being a good wife?
I don't know.
Yeah, but I think there's like a plus and minus in that. Everything is like a plus and minus, because when you like let them be them, and you put no rules and stuff, they act a certain way, but then they don't understand why other children has rules and chores where they gotta follow, and they're free, but then they don't understand why their friends are the mount trip on them, or they have rules in their household. Like I said, it's plus and minus.
Oh, he's talking about my kids. So, like, my kids, they're like, they grow up really free, and then their friends are really restricted. So then my kids can't understand. They're like, how come my friends, they can't sleep over? They can't have, boyfriends until they're 18, those kind of rules. And I'm just kind of like, people are different, your friends, their parents are different, and they value different things maybe. So yeah, he's talking about my kids. Like, they have friends that they grow up with really strict parents, like kind of like our parents. I'm shocked because they're my age. I'm like, dang girl, like, what did you grow up with? Like, why are you so strict on your daughter? Like,
because they seen all the bad out there. I seen all the bad out there, and sometimes some parents they just don't want the kids exposed to stuff they see.
Yeah, I think it's really hard to find that balance, of what's right and what's wrong, because in everybody's eyes, our right and wrong is different, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't want to judge other parents. I don't want them to judge me, but it is a struggle, because we are still raising our kids to be Hmong American. So that's where we struggle with the Hmongness and the Americanness, right? Of how our kids should be, but they're too Americanized now. So a lot of our cultural stuff, they kind of be like, I don't care about that. I don't even know how to speak Hmong. Why do I have to learn? And I'm like, you're gonna learn one day. You're gonna come back to me and be like, can you teach me? Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna be like, I'll try. I'll try, but your Hmong is gonna be slightly off. Okay.
Your language is a big thing back then. We spoke Hmong then, right? Nowadays, it's just because we're so Americanized that we speak English to our kids, and so they don't tend to learn Hmong as well as we did. Grandparents, did you guys ever take your kids to your parents' house? Because parents will always speak Hmong to them.
They used to. Now, like nowadays, like back then, I see OG speaking Hmong all the time to every kid, right? And then over time, they'd be like, "Come here, come to grandma." They started speaking English to your kids.
Yeah,
and you're
you want
like,
to eat chicken and rice?
Yeah, I was like, Mom, you're supposed to speak Hmong to them. That's why I bring them here. And they're like, oh, it's just too hard. Like they can't understand me. They look at me and go, what, grandma?
And then you're there translating for your mom and for your kids back and forth. Have you done that? It's like, this is what grandma is saying.
Yeah, no, my mom can understand both, but yeah, I thought she would enforce the Hmongness, but she was like, nope, I'm good. Like, this is the way it is. These kids don't understand. I was like, you're giving them a free pass? Like, That's not fair. She's just like, it's different times now. Like going back to like the whole discipline thing. You know how back in the day, a lot of parents, they stopped doing that because child protection got involved. You know, some parents took it to extreme, right, with the discipline. And so then a lot of, like, even for my mom, like, you know, Mika social workers had to come and tell my mom.
Seriously?
Well, yeah,
Wow.
they kind of told her, like, hey, that's not the way you discipline, you know, because, like, my sister, she used to go to school with, like, little bruises on her hand.
Oh.
And then my mom didn't know. She was just like, oh, I don't know. And then they were like, you can't hit. No hit, okay? So then ever since then, my mom's like, oh, shoot, I can't hit you guys. I was like, yeah, Mom, they say you can't hit us. Like, why do you even do it? She goes, this is the only way I know. This is what happened to me when I was little. This is called discipline. And I was like, no, it's abuse. I'm pretty sure we're not the only ones, but a lot of parents probably had to be told, like, there's a difference between discipline and abuse. But it's funny when we think about it now and we laugh about it. And if you tell your kids, like, you know, oh, yeah, we used to get hit with a broom, a stick, a fly swapper, all this stuff. They'd be like, what? Like, where did you grow up? Like, here in America. Like, I grew up here. It's just different times for us.
Yeah. And Ken, you mentioned earlier, like, just a different time. So, I mean, economically too, right? It's like economically it was different back then. We kind of grew, obviously, we all grew up, I'm not sure, poor. We didn't have much on welfare, you know. And so the time's a little different when you, true story, when you don't have much, right? And you're fighting over chicken wings, and at least in my household, you're fighting over chicken wings, you're going to get spanked afterwards because you're those petty little things, you know? And then I've gotten spanked plenty of times because we were fighting over chicken wings because economically we weren't like how our kids are now, you know? Because our kids now, they have everything they need. Why would you be, I mean, like you have everything that you want, you know, but back then we did it. And so kind of what you said, King, earlier, you had to go and find it yourself, you know, and for us, at least for me, it was internally that it didn't go too well. And then we got spanked. Yeah.
I remember back in the day, like, I don't know for you guys, but like for us, like McDonald's was a treat.
Oh, yes.
Because you get it like once or twice a year. It was like a really special occasion. And you'd be like, oh my God, that was fries. And you'd be like, this is heaven. This is the best day of my life. Right. And now kids eat McDonald's every single day. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to puke if I eat like McDonald's every other day. But, or even like Kay and I, we were laughing about this the other day, like the EBT cash, before they converted it to a card, like back in the day, your parents.
It was a check, food stamp. Yeah.
Yeah, where they would rip like bills.
It's a booklet,
yeah, and your parents would go and you'd be like, dang, we're ballers, like $400 food stamp. They'd be ripping each check, and then one day, you know, the card came, and then you were like, oh, we can buy unlimited amount of food, but then we didn't realize we were poor. We were poor. We were actually not rich, you know.
I think sometimes when I think about it, you know, like, because I spent a lot of time in like prison and stuff like that, and like, you know, like, now that I'm older, Gunzu, like, not being racist, but Gunzu, like, Kidu that don't care the way they drive, the way they shoot everywhere and stuff. But, you know, thinking back, I feel like maybe it's a system thing, you know, because I feel like I'm a good kid, but, you know, I got caught up where, like, black people, they grew up in single-family homes, poverty, like, everywhere, and especially they live in, like, I believe in like you're a product of your environment, you know, and they live through that. And when you think about it, it's sad because you know, like, I don't know, it's bad what they're doing, but can you really blame them? Because I feel like I grew up like Christian house and the parents taught you well, but as soon as I saw like gangs and stuff, I was attracted to it. And when you're a part of that environment, you just tend to be them, right? And I remember being locked up. I probably locked up when I was first 16, maybe around 17 right there. I go in there, you know, like, it's my first time. You get scared, too. Nobody just born like Mike Tyson, you know. Nobody born tough or whatever. You know, you go through stuff, you know. Like, I never knew what to experience, but then once you got in there, you know, like, all the bad people, like, you start to like chill with them. They're human beings. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You're locked up with them all the time, and people look at you different. But when you locked up with them, you're the cellmate, or you're here with them every single day. They're human beings just like everybody else. They just grew up different, or they have anger issues, or not. You know, but I see like both sides already. You know, I see I see why they're bad. I see some of that, but you know, like it's sad that you know people think locking people up is a good thing, but sometimes it could be a bad thing. Because you know, when I got locked up when I was 16, 17, and then I got locked up back up when I was like 18 or 19, right? The people that I went back to prison. First time I was scared, but once you go back a couple times, it's scary, but it becomes normal. It's like a family reunion. I go back there, I see
Did
people.
you go to the same place?
No, first place was juvenile.
Oh,
So I went there. I you know, like when you were there for, you know, I forgot how long I was there, like maybe several months, and you get to know people because they're in your everyday lives. So you had no choice but to like interact with them, right? And you get to know them. I think I was sentenced to like be in prison until my 18th birthday or something. So when I got out, a lot of stuff happened and went back in prison. And the first time I went back in prison, I walked through the doors. What's up, Kang? Like, dude, like, you know, like, I'm in this adult prison now. How the hell my name keep getting popped up? And, you know, it's my old buddies from
juvenile.
Yeah, juvenile. And some of them, they came back. Some of them never got out. So, like, every prison I went to, I knew somebody. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
And then after a while, even my third time when I went in, everywhere I went to, I knew a face. You know, it's how close knit like everything was. Where like it's weird. It's kind of like a family reunion sometimes, where you get a lot over certain people, but that, you know, like when they say prison is for like to rehabilitate you, whatever, it might work for like 10%, but the 89% they all end up going back.
Yeah.
They're all going back to their same environment, go back to their same friends. Unless I don't have a solution for it, but I know that once you kind of stuck in the system, you're going out to the same place that you came in. You're going out to the same people that got you in. I don't know the statistic, but I heard it's like 80-something%.
That people get reincarnated. I mean,
Yeah.
reincarcerated.
Yeah. So it's like it's interesting too, because I think the first time, I think to save somebody, it might be the first time. If you can't save them, then it's like 80-something% they would likely go back.
Wow.
And I see that all the time. Every time I go back,
Man, I want to pick your brain and have you tell me stories, man, about what happened in prison, dude. But, you know, I'm sure that's probably going to be another podcast in itself.
no, but I think I don't know. I can't say for everybody, but you know, I know that like I'm not saying I'm a big bad guy, but I know I get treated differently, and I see that other people get treated a different way because of the way I carry myself, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So if I believe that I'm not saying you're a weakling or something, but if you would have got locked up, they would have treated you different because the way I carry myself and the way you carry yourself, everybody knows that it's two different people. And I don't know, like I don't know if it's because it made me the way I am this day or why not, but I became that person.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you knew me in middle school, kind of knew me in high school. I was never like this.
No, you weren't.
You don't see me like this.
Yeah.
But when I'm around other people and I observe other people, and when I'm locked up, I kind of feel like you do have to be a certain way or different person, or else you will. I see people get picked on and stuff, right? But I know that I carry this way. People respect me more, or even with women, you know, like I said, I kind of feel like the way I carry myself somehow something attracts them to me. But I'm not a talkative person, but all my life I kind of feel that. I never been through like a certain amount of period without having a girlfriend. Even though I don't go out and talk to girls all the time. It just happens that somehow they're attracted to me somehow, or like when I get locked up, my quietness works to my benefit because I don't give a lot of reason for people to like start shit with me. You know what I mean?
Hey, I wonder, like, because we were talking about growing up in the 80s and 90s. That's how it was for you. Do you think other guys went through the same thing? Like your friends that are maybe in that gang life, you know? Do they have that same mentality, though? I'm sure some of them got locked up, too, didn't they? Like we were talking about earlier, some of them are still locked up. Like, do they have that mentality also?
It's, I think some do and some don't. It's just like being athletic. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You can't just pretend prison is like a sport. You can't just throw your kid in a sport and expect them to learn and be good. Sometimes I feel like either you're born with it or you're not. And that's a true story because you could be in a gang all your life. Doesn't make you tough or respectful. Some people just are who they are. It's hard to explain. Like we have some people that like, I don't know. I think it's too detailed for this
it's
podcast,
okay.
But like you know that it's kind of like, it's prison and gangs. It's just like people in general. You know, like you grow up going in sports. Some are good at it, some don't. Some have it, some don't. You know what I mean? That's just
shoot. I'm telling you, I don't have it. I don't think I'll last a day in prison. Goodness gracious.
You never know because you never been through it. You don't know until you go through it, right?
Well, that's true.
It's just like you don't look like you're a sports guy, but you're good at sports.
I try to be.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You never know what comes out of you until you go through it.
Yeah. And unfortunately, guys at that age, when you were younger, unfortunately, they had to go through that.
Yeah.
You know? But the fortunate thing about you is that you kind of got yourself out of it.
Yeah.
You know? Like kids nowadays, let's talk about that. Kids nowadays, back then, let's come back to this topic of back then, how it was for you and kids now, right? Are kids now like that? Like with the gang activity and stuff? You guys don't see it in St. Paul, do you?
Not as much anymore.
I think it's more for clout. Like they like some of the rap music I hear these days. Oh my God, I don't know what it is. Like it's horrible. I'm like, really? That's actually a rap song? Like it's horrible, but it's all for clout. It's all bragging and like I'm the best and shot clock. Like I don't know how to do it, but the rap nowadays, it's more just as a show off and a front. Like we're talking about, social media, how kids or people can put a front out there.
Correct.
So that bad boy persona front, but I think there's that front, but to actually do it, to live it,
not like how it was back then.
These kids aren't.
No,
they're not.
But me personally, like a lot of people that I see that is my age, it's like no matter what they like, I'll say most of them are matured. I can't say about California and all that stuff, but I know around this region, I see them at bars and clubs all the time, and bygones got bygones because like Milwaukee,
they used to be enemies.
Huh?
They used to be enemies.
Yeah, even like Milwaukee.
Yeah,
the whole Milwaukee are my pretty much my enemies. But it's all the way you carry. If I go to the club and start shit, yes, stuff gonna happen to me, right? But if I carry myself like respectfully, if I respect you, like I don't give you any reason to like marry me. But all I know is Mona, it's a small world, Like a lot of my friends from Milwaukee, a lot of people that hate me, they're all my friends' little brothers and stuff like that,
Yeah.
Gangs, it's somebody's little brother, somebody's little cousin, little brother.
Yeah.
Minnesota too, and when you go out there, I guess I kind of see a lot of maturity nowadays with the 40s and stuff. Everybody got family, kids now, so it's like totally different. You see people that maybe they just like you, they'll buy you beer, say bygones, everybody, y'all different. And hopefully they carry that on to the youngins,
the younger generation.
Yeah, hopefully they, whether they're involved or not, but hopefully they pass that word. Me, I try my best. I tell people that you did what you did in the past, whatever, but you live that life already. Now it's time for change.
Time to move on.
To go in a different direction. That gang life, that don't give a damn life. You've been there and done that. Nobody can ever take that from you.
Yeah.
Now you don't need to prove anything.
Yeah.
To anybody. Go to your a positive life, because what that life created or caused you. Everybody was like me. You doesn't leave you to anywhere by being like locked up, depressed, or whatever. And then when you're in prison, it happens to everybody. You lose close people, and then as you get older, you don't keep on losing close people, and it's up to you. I know, like I see a couple of people took my advice. You prove yourself in the past, start in a different positive direction.
For you eventually got married,
Yeah.
right? And then you have kids, and life move on, right? And obviously, you too, also, Jer. Marriage, and we were talking about relationships and gangs and stuff, but eventually, you move on with your life.
Yeah.
Right. How old were you when you got married, Kang?
I started late in the 30s.
In the 30s. So that was after the 90s. No, you're in the 2000 already, wasn't it?
Yeah, but my last prison bit was in like 2000.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. So that was
Wait, how old were you when you got out from the last time? Were you in your 30s or
I think 27.
27?
Yeah.
Okay.
And like I said, I don't knock any people because like I've been through it too. I think once you've been in like gangs that long, it is really hard to leave because especially people that have a lot of loyalty.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but like I said, a lot of people don't know why I left. But like I think, like I said, it's all about the way you carry yourself. If I leave you and I go hang with other people, party, nightlife, then yeah, why am I leaving you? Like it's like a betrayal or something, right? But if I leave and you see me every now and then, I'm trying to make a good life for myself.
Yep.
You can't knock people for trying to be better than themselves. You know what I mean? But if you leave me just to try a little difference with some other crew or some other stuff, then a lot of people are gonna have a problem with that.
Oh, but for you did eventually when you left when you were 27, things happened. You eventually got married, you have kids, and life moved on.
Yeah, and like
and they're not coming back at you. They're
No.
not they're not bothering you.
No.
They respect the fact that you live a straight life now.
yeah, a lot of them do.
Yeah.
And like I'm gonna be totally honest, like I told you before, it is hard because at 27 I was at the age where I felt like we didn't die, huh?
Oh yeah.
I was stuck. I was in too deep. But like sometimes like something drastic in your life need to happen for you to like make that
Stop.
decision.
And what was that for you?
And I felt like I know for a fact, like that. Then like my last bit, I think like a month before I got out, I felt like I still had the same mentality. I was trying to be better, but I knew that I had so much. It's kind of like me and you. If you were friends, right? If somebody told you, cut you out of my life, I have a hard time doing that. You might do bad stuff, or like I said, you were off your way, but you were always a true friend to me. So how can I cut you off when you never did anything bad to me, right? That's kind of like gang life,
Mm-hmm.
You never did anything bad to me, and when people tell you to cut you off, it's hard because you're so loyal too. But my situation was, last time around, I had like a month before I got out, and I I think I can't remember that well no more, but I knew that I called or I wrote home that I'll be coming home in like a month or two, right? And then, I just got a letter back that said that, dude, your mom only got like less than 30 days left to live, right?
Mm.
So I'm like, wow. Like people could see it. All my, I had like a lot of people that knew me too, and they look at me like they don't even want to ask, like I wasn't really like crying and stuff, but you just have that look where you just have that look like.
And your friends, they knew.
Yeah, don't ask me. Like eating, like I don't talk to nobody, and then like I'll eat. There's like, what's wrong? And then I'll give them a look at like, and they just leave it like that. And then after a while, when it kind of came down, like, dude, my mom got cancer. She ain't gonna like, I'm not gonna get out on time,
Mm.
So everybody like, damn. So like, but I did like, I think I could kind of talk about it, but
I think you can.
No. It's because it is against the law. You know what I mean? You know, where I was still locked up, but I was in the halfway house where they allow you to go work, come back. You know.
Oh yeah.
I used to sneak out and go visit her before I started my work, and I'll have somebody drop me off to work instead of like catching a bus. The way I have time, I have somebody pick me up, drop me up, go see my mom, then drive me to work. But I can only have that certain time frame.
Oh.
To
Did you have a monitor on?
Or
Or they just check you in, like they have to check you. Okay.
Because at that point you're getting ready to be released, so you're at the point where you're about to get released. That nobody will ever do anything bad because you're about to get a release anyways.
Okay.
Yeah, people wouldn't jeopardize
their release
chance.
But you at least had a chance to go see your mom.
Yeah, I saw my mom, and we had a little private talk, and said our goodbyes. I think, like when people can talk about it, people can feel sad about it, but until like you've been through like that, I don't know, it just hits different, And ever since that day on, I just made her promise. She just told me, this is the end. Like after I'm gone, she told me straight up that maybe like she's the only one that loved me, that after this, ain't nobody gonna love me. That I made her promise that no matter what, just be good in life, leave all the bad stuff away. So yeah, I felt like I kept that promise to this day.
I tell you, there's something about parents.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, everybody here at the table know of losing a parent. I lost my mom. You lost your mom, your dad, and my father-in-law. We all lost parents. There's something about losing a parent that makes you want to change, right? And I guess in your case, in your case, it made you, dude. You lived a gang life, which was you're deep in.
Yeah. Especially at that age too. Once you get that age, there's not a lot of point.
And it took to losing your mom to get you out.
Yeah, real. Because I think like my loyalty was too high too. Because like I said, I just feel like my friends. I look at them as maybe you. If you were hanging, and let's just say this: if me and you were good friends, and you were off in the wrong path, should I just diss you? Should I just let you go off your path? It's like I feel like so much stuff been happening to, but I can't. If I feel like you needed me, I would not let you go. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, with my mind and stuff happening, people see me. She's seen it. I think she's seen me around. I see a lot of old friends. There's no hatred, even though I don't hang around with them. We see them at the bar because we go to a bar sometimes too. Go there, say what's up, but there's no like hard animosity. Mm-hmm. I think law on us, so they understand.
Yeah,
you don't need really.
I'm glad you're able to put, like you said earlier. I mean, Hmong community is just a small community. Everybody kind of knows everybody. You have to get that stuff. You have to get past that stuff in order to move on. So, but
yeah, because you never know. What if your kids marry each other?
That's true.
That would be so weird,
That's
wouldn't
like
it?
the worst thing, right? Your kids marry your enemies' children.
Speaking about marriage, I want to cover marriage before we go. Marriage back then is different marriages now, right? Yeah. We kind of talked about this. Did we talk about this yesterday while you guys came over for dinner?
I think so.
We talked about back then there was forced marriage, right? And there was I'm not sure how you would say it, stolen marriage, where you bring
kidnapping.
Oh yes,
that's real.
That's real, right? It doesn't happen anymore. Back then, it happened. I'm not gonna drop names, but we know of people that's gone through it. But it doesn't happen now. Thank God it doesn't happen because I'm not sure what's gonna happen to.
Or it doesn't happen that we know of.
Well, that's true.
Probably.
That's true.
I feel like for millennials though, it did. I think the kidnapping kind of stopped. But I think for for you guys, like Generation X, right? It happened more with the Generation X.
It did.
With the millennials, they were, it was like the police, right? The ultimate threat, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to call the police.
Because basically the X, we're the first generation, right? Because we're the first to experience our life in America, right?
Yeah.
So we're pretty much the first generation.
Yeah.
Right?
And women then or girls then is different. The mentality is different then than it is now. Obviously, in your generation, they're a lot stronger. They know resources. You know, I'm going to reach out. You don't have to do that. I don't need to take that crap from you. Okay, I don't need to go with him. Right?
Yeah.
Even though, let's say, for example, even though you catch me doing X, Y, and Z with my boyfriend, no, I'm not going to marry him. You know, I don't have to marry him because I have rights. Right?
Yeah,
A little bit more educated now.
I think with millennial, it was a lot of more like you. A lot of the marriages, it was somebody that you did like to a certain degree. It wasn't like a stranger, because the kidnapping is like a complete stranger, right? Like, I like that girl, she's mine, right?
Yeah,
For millennials, it was kind of like, I kind of like you, you kind of like me. We're young and we're in love, right?
Yeah.
So then, it wasn't, in a way, it was kind of forced because like the issue was forced on the kids. Like, you know, if you. If a boyfriend took you out past like 10 o'clock,
Yes.
right? The minute they're at the door, it's like,
Like, you gotta
oh,
marry. Yes.
And, you know, you guys were kids. You're just like teenagers, right? Or a lot of women, they got pregnant. I mean, a lot of girls got pregnant. If you were pregnant, the only solution was
get
marriage.
married.
Yeah. It wasn't even abortion. It was marriage, you know? Like, you would think they would be like, abort, but they were like, no, marriage. So yeah, for girls, anything you did that was kind of shameful in the eyes of the OGs, or if you ruined their face, right?
Their reputation.
Yeah, to save their face and reputation, marriage solved everything. It was like the solution in their eyes. But I guess and nowadays a lot of OGs they kind of recognize that, like a lot of people our age, you know, that did get married young. I'm not saying everyone, but some that did get married pretty young, a lot of them, as they got older, they did divorce, you know, because a lot of them, they were kids. They were like babies when they got married.
They didn't know what they wanted.
Yeah, they didn't
yeah.
know. So, you know, and I think some OGs, you know, maybe they, maybe like my mom's told me too, you know, like maybe they do regret it. They could have just let you stay. You know, your life would have been a little bit different, but they didn't know. They didn't know that. They thought that was the only way out to save everybody, marriage.
Yeah, I mean, it was different, you know, especially the was it the ones that they're forced to marry, you know? Those are tough. They're always tough. We kind of talked about it. Those are always tough for me to hear, you know? It's like, how do you put a girl, right? A girl, maybe under the age of 18, that much pressure to marry someone, you know, when she doesn't want to, right? And then just to make her marry a guy who maybe one, she doesn't know or just met.
Yeah.
You know, and then the
Or
mentality.
he took her past like 11 or 10
Yeah.
p.m.
And the mentality of the emotional, I'm assuming there must be some emotional trauma that goes through it, especially forcing someone at a young age to marry someone. I mean, we're not talking about just going out. We're talking about the rest of your life. Well, the rest of their life, as long as they're together, you know, to be living with that person, to be intimate, to have kids together, you know. And so, anyway, I can only imagine how it is.
I think a lot of that has to do with the clash of the culture too. Because back then, that's how it's a norm for them back then. And plus, back in Laos and Thailand, I think they needed a lot of people. They needed a lot of people to survive and work hard, but I think once we came to America, it wasn't like that no more. People had like goals and dreams. It wasn't just work,
Survival.
It wasn't just survival. Now
Yeah.
we had options, and for them to like, I don't know. I guess the clash of cultures where I can't really blame them too, because that's how they live. That's what happens all the time in their culture. So they're not educated too. So I don't know. I feel like it's just a clash of the OGs and the new generation where that's all they knew.
Yeah, and I would agree. Because I know of stories of where the guy cannot find a girl, right?
Yeah.
For the life of him, he cannot find a girl, right? We've heard this many times,
Yes.
right? So the mom and dad or the uncle takes him and to go look for a girl, right? You know, and in some situation, you know, the guy, he doesn't have it. He doesn't have that badass mentality like
King.
You know, or he just too nice of a guy where he can't do it. And so they have to help, they have to intervene, and they go and they force someone to marry him. But see, oh my goodness, I can only imagine how the guy feels though. Like, you know, it's like there has to be some guilt there, don't you think?
I don't know.
Like I said,
Right?
I think if you,
I would feel guilty if I forced some girl to marry me.
I think if you grew up, like I said, different generation clash. I think you grew up to it. It's normal, but I think up in the States, we start to see like, hey, that's not right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that, you know, back in the day, there are so many like teen moms, and I mean, it wasn't a big deal like with the authorities, you know, like child protection service being called into every teen
Yeah.
mom, like, you know what I mean? Like over time, they just was like, oh, this is their culture. This is okay. Like, I think if you're 15, 16, they're kind of okay, right? But if you're like 10, 12, and they're kind of like, okay, this is where we draw the line. Like child
Yeah.
protection is getting involved. But like 15, 16, because like everybody I grew up with, they all got married young.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, like
Well,
it was normal, you know?
But was there a big age gap though? So I'm assuming if you're 15, 16, you're marrying someone 25, something like that. Would they?
I think sometimes it's usually either a year, either your age or a couple years older than you.
Okay.
It wasn't, but I do have like some friends that when we were in like middle school or high school, like they did marry like people in their 20s, but it wasn't like so much. Well, I don't know if it's forced. They said they agreed to it, so they agreed to it, but they were kind of like ashamed, you know, that their husbands were so much older, so they didn't really talk about it. But then you knew that they were married, so you knew that okay, I can't do certain things with this girl, or I can only attend class with her, and that's it, you know. Because you know, once someone's married, there's limitations, so then you have to respect that, or else their husband will come after you, right? So, not in a bad way, but they'll call your parents or something. I don't know. You don't want to get yelled at. But yeah, it was so normal. I mean, my daughters, I asked them this too, like, if, you know, do you see a lot of girls in high school pregnant? And they were like, no, that wouldn't look right. That's weird. Like,
Dude, it happened when we were growing up.
Yeah, like
saw that.
they know, like they might know of one or two friends that have, you know, that got pregnant during high school, but they're like, that's not normal. And then, you know, and I always tell them like, yeah, that was normal back in the day. Everybody was pregnant. They're like, yeah, Mom, I know, because all my friends, their parents are your age. I'm like, oh, did they go to school with me? And then she's always like, God, why are you guys having babies so young? I'm like, it was normal. That was normal, you know?
Yeah, imagine our kids having, well, obviously I don't want my girls having kids at that age, but you're right. I think parenting is different too back then. I mean, then compared to now, obviously we talked about that earlier, is like how we parent our kids is different than how our parents parented us. And so the whole psychological or the whole parenting style is a little different. And so hopefully things will move towards a bit more, I don't know, normal. I don't want to say normal because it was normal back then, but something a bit more standard across the board, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, like, talking about girls, I think like we, and here's the thing, okay, guys, girls, we can protect ourselves, okay? So there's birth control, but our sons, we have to worry about them.
Oh, yeah.
Because they could be the ones impregnating other girls. Like, I get really worried too. I'm like, gosh, how do I protect you from, you know, like, I don't want you to go have baby mamas. Like, I get worried too, because my daughters, there's a way to protect them. But then for the boys, I'm just kind of like, oh my God, we need to have these conversations with them. We need to tell them, like, safe sex, like, use condom, like, you know, don't go impregnate people. Like, I don't want to be a grandma because I feel bad too, you know, if that's my son impregnating other people, someone else's daughter. So I get really, really worried about my sons too.
That's a great point, because most of the time when we talk about this, we always assume it's the female. Seriously, at least I do. But you're right. We don't think about the boys and how to have them prevent them from doing what they need to do, or to prevent them from.
Let's be honest. During that age group, women were more mature than boys. You know?
Well, they are.
Yeah, but I'm talking about now. Like, we have to kind of be open to having that dialogue with our sons and daughters. Like, daughters, you can kind of protect them in a way, but for sons, like, I mean, I don't know what male contraception they use besides condom. Like, I don't know.
You know, they I read they do have birth controls for men.
A pill, right?
Yes. Did you guys hear about it?
I heard about it, and I was laughing to King about it, and King was like, heck no, I'm never taking a pill.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, it's supposed to be safe. I'm not sure if it's come out yet, but I've told people about it. But you know, to each of their own if they decide to take that or not. You know, so we're getting towards the end of the podcast here. Hey, thank you for the two of you for coming in. You know, thank you for allowing me to have this moment, this time to have a conversation with the two of you. It's always great catching up with, especially King, because I've known King for a long time, and it's awesome to meet you now, right?
Yes,
and
thanks for having me again.
Yeah, you know, next time you guys come back, bring the kids if you can. King, if you can bring your daughter and your son, I would like to meet them. And you have 2 girls or
2 of each.
Two of
girls,
each,
2
4?
boys.
Okay, 2 boys, 2 girls, yeah. So bring them down. If you guys come down, let us know. We'll hang out. We'll go grab lunch. We'll grill here. We'll do something. So
Yeah, it was a good time.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for tuning in and staying with us this long. If you like what you're listening to, please share and subscribe.